to fall asleep easily and naturally without having to use so many tools, techniques, and exercises that have not given you consistently great results. In this video, I'm going to share with you a conversation or part of the conversation that I had with a client within my group sleep coaching program called Sleep Skills for Life. And within the program and within all the work that I do helping clients just like you overcome long-term insomnia and sleep problems, this evening preparation is a really big part of that conversation. A lot of the times what I see in my practice, and you probably would have researched on this as well, hence how you maybe even got to my video, you want to find out a way that you can really be able to fall asleep easily and as naturally as possible, and often fairly quickly. But a lot of the different general tips and advice that you might have picked up, and these can include exercises, tools, techniques, if they're not delivering consistently great results, that often means that some parts of this preparation is mismatched to the real root cause of your problem. So what do I mean by that? When we look at this evening preparation or evening routine in order to help you to fall asleep naturally, easily, and consistently easily, requires three parts. It's physical preparation, emotional preparation, and mental preparation. And a lot of the general things that you might have found often only address the physical part. It might not actually help you to really calm down, make sure your mind is calm as well in order to be able to transition into sleep. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about a mindset that will help you to really create this more natural separation between the daytime and the nighttime by really moving some of those daytime activities out of the bed and the bedroom environment. Now, I know that sometimes this can actually be quite difficult to achieve, especially if you've been struggling with long-term sleep problems and insomnia. But it is something that, when done really well and appropriately to the root cause of the problem, will really help you to be able to achieve that ability to fall asleep easily and naturally as well for many years to come. Now, those of you who have been part of my community already, then welcome back. If you are new and this is the first video you're watching, then let me quickly introduce myself. So my name is Beatrix Schmidt. I'm a sleep coach, a professional speaker, and the creator of the Sleep Skills for Life program, which is very much my way of helping people like you who have struggled with long-term insomnia and sleep problems to overcome it, and of course develop those sleep skills, those practical things that will help you to be able to sleep well for many years to come. Now, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button below. Once you watch the video, hit that like button below as well, so that I know that this is some of those things that you're interested in, so I can create content that can help you and support you for the coming weeks. And that little bell will also help me to keep you updated when I post new videos. Now that we covered that, let's really turn our attention to this idea of creating that separation between the daytime and the nighttime, so that you're not using inappropriate or not effective tools, techniques, and exercises, and instead really learn how to fall asleep easily and as naturally as possible. But of course, a word of warning, and I do say this in my videos if you watched any of my other videos, this is not a quick thing. Often, if you would have read articles or watched other videos, there is this promise that suddenly overnight you can put something in place and it's going to be a very quick process. But the reality of long-term sleep problems and insomnia is that it takes time. And one of the most important parts is to really figure out what the root cause of the problem is, so that you can apply the appropriate exercise and tools to help you achieve that great quality sleep that you desire and you would like to enjoy. And this is that word of warning. It requires work and patience in order to really practically develop those skill sets that I talk about in my videos. So now that we covered that, let's really turn our attention to my answer to a client when it comes to this mindset of creating that separation between your daytime and your nighttime, your bedroom and the rest of the place in your home. Now, I think the next step for you is to really embrace a mindset. So this idea that you are completely able and capable of falling asleep easily if you don't do anything in bed that you're currently still maybe doing. So this is where the next stage is a real clear separation. So none of the daytime activities will be done in bed. And just looking at your sort of evening routine, there's still sort of maybe watching something on the laptop in bed. That's sort of potentially happening. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And it's great to hear that you moved some of the things out already, so that's great. But another thing I'm seeing on the planner sheet is that things are a little bit somewhat messy in its order. So what do I mean by that? So you might brush your teeth as a preparation, but then you go, and for you obviously you've got a cat, then you go brush the cat as well afterwards. Or you might turn the lights off, but you still might listen to something or watch something. So one of the things I want you to think about, and I do mention this in the videos as well, is to really have a clear guidance of what happens next. So if you're preparing yourself for bed, that means, and this is where the time frame is going to shorten between turning the lights off and getting ready, getting into bed. If you're getting yourself ready for bed, then any of the daytime activities, even brushing the cat, you would want to do it before that. Because when you head into bed, the idea is, does your body and your mind understand clearly what it's supposed to do when? Now, if you're brushing your teeth, maybe changing into what you sleep in or whatever that is, and then you end up doing a bunch of other things that are daytime, that what you're saying to your mind is, well, let's brush my teeth and let's change into what I wear, but hang on a minute, we're not going to bed yet because we're going to do all these bunch of things. So that can create a bit of a confusion about what your body and your mind thinks it's going to have to do. Again, what I want you to think about moving forward is putting yourself and your sleep into a different sequence of events. And this happens with everyone, whether or not they have children, dogs, cats, all that kind of stuff. Now, obviously for, let's say, someone who has a dog, they might take the dog out just before they head up to bed, but they're still going to head up to bed after they've taken the dog out. So for you, the cat, brushing the cat is similar. So now, animals are very interesting in terms of they hear something, they're already affiliated with it, but you can change that. And the reason I want you to do this is because whatever you do, the very, very last part of your night, brushing teeth, changing into what you wear, any of those last bits, is the signal to the body and the mind what it's supposed to do next. So when you reshuffle, and literally it's reshuffling, when you reshuffle a bunch of things, the cats will learn, because obviously you've already brushed them. So if you brush them 20 minutes earlier, they know that they already got brushed, or they ate, if it's one or two, don't know how many cats you have. So they're going to know that that already happened. And when you brush your teeth, they might get a little confused, but then a few days later, they will settle into something new. So like you said, animals are very trainable and they will settle in. But really reshuffle, so the last bits are all about you. The very last few things are all about you, and they are all about getting ready for bed. So if you maybe have to wash up a few dishes or something like that, then you would do that before you go and brush your teeth. Because then your body and your mind will get very familiar with what is the sequence of events in order for you to get to that climbing into bed. Okay? So normally what I recommend is bathroom activities last. So brushing teeth, if you have a shower or bath in the evening, if you have it in the morning, obviously it's a slightly different thing. But anything to do with bathroom breaks, we all go to the toilet one more time before we climb into bed. We all brush our teeth. You might change into what you sleep in, or you take off loungewear. Again, if you have loungewear, then please don't use that for sleeping in as well. So again, separation. And the body and the mind is super clever that way. When it comes to this idea of separating the bed and the bedroom environment from the daytime activities, I know that this can be quite daunting to begin with. But what's important is you respect how long you've been struggling, how many different tools and techniques you've actually tried and tested and maybe still using, what kind of other issues you might have with your sleep problems. So again, this is where it's important to really just respect where you're at. And if you feel that even doing this is too much for you, then seek that appropriate support. Work with someone who has practiced in the field. And obviously you can reach out to me if you're interested in any of my sleep coaching services. But the first good way to approach this is to understand that natural and easy way to fall asleep does not require tools, techniques, and an incredible amount of effort to be put in. The more natural your sleep is, often the less you rely on having to do so many things. And again, I've seen this in my practice when people literally had a long list of things that they have perfectly put in place to hopefully sleep well, but even that long list of very structured or even perfectionistic thing or combination of things didn't actually deliver the results. So this is where if you're putting an incredible amount of effort in but you're not getting the outcomes, we see a mismatch with what you're doing and why it might not be working. So as I mentioned, it comes back down to the root cause of the problems and really looking at whether or not you're really addressing the physical, the emotional and mental components of falling asleep effectively and naturally. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you've got any questions or you want to share any of your successes when you start to remove things, then feel free to pop them down in the comment box. I always love to hear from you. And if you haven't yet, then subscribe to my channel, hit that little bell so I can let you know when I post new videos, and of course hit that like button below as well so I can really continue creating content that actually really is helpful and you're interested in. So once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.